Hello, this is Old School from What the Buck. I want to apologize first and foremost to the people who subscribe that I haven't been putting the updates up as regularly as I should. Things have been pretty crazy with the actual What the Buck show. We were fortunate to have Chris Hovan call in this week, and there's just been a bunch of activity going on, so it's been slowing my ability to put up the YouTube. So I apologize to that. But this week we're going to actually do two segments. I tried to do it as one this morning, but the size was too big for YouTube to accept. So we'll break it into two pieces. This is going to be the section on the Minnesota Vikings, which is the team we face this weekend at Raymond James. A couple of little announcements if you are local, and even if you're not, I guess it applies to you. We are starting a contest with whatthebuck.net, which is the Barrett Ruud Porn Stash Contest. Let me throw up a little banner for you here. There's the banner. I'm not sure if we're getting any audio here, but the 2008 What the Buck Porn Stash Contest, bring in the wood like Barrett Ruud. What this is essentially going to be is it's going to be a contest for people to grow out their porn stash. I'm actually growing out the goatee now so I can shave off the bottom. In the spirit of Barrett Ruud, who is rocking that 70s style porn stash like no other, we're going to run this contest through the end of the year, all the way through, as long as the Bucks stay in the playoffs, if they make the playoffs, etc. And then whoever happens to have the best stash, we're gonna get that person some prizes. So if you're interested, let us know. Hit us up at questions@whatthebuck.net. This weekend, we have the Minnesota Vikings, who are led by, obviously, Adrian Peterson, probably the best back in the league right now, even, considering, LaDainian Tomlinson or Clinton Portis. Adrian Peterson presents some unique challenges for us in matchups because he's a guy who doesn't get brought down easily. He's a guy who is a threat to bring it to the house every time. He's got tremendous speed, tremendous cutting abilities, etc. The guy's the only back in the NFL right now for over 1,000 yards. And he completely owned the game last week. This is a team in the Vikings that live and die by Adrian Peterson's production. So one of the things we're going to have to do this week is kind of focus on Adrian Peterson. And, when he goes off and gets spelled, it's not like they got a chump coming in behind him. Chester Taylor can do pretty much the same stuff Adrian Peterson can do. Now, obviously, AP is a bit of a unique athlete, but Chester Taylor has done quite well in relief of Adrian Peterson, so you can't exactly take a breath when he comes in off the bench. Now, luckily, our rushing defense is very stout, as you guys are well aware. From a rushing defense perspective, we're at 11th in the league right now. Now, what's funny is we're facing a team in Minnesota who's 3rd in the league, and we'll talk a little bit about why that's the case, and it is in no small part due to the Williams boys they have in the middle who completely house that defensive line and provide an amazing foundation for Jared Allen on the end to run wild. Now, when you look at the rest of the offense for the Vikings, it got noticeably better, in my opinion, when they benched Tavares Jackson. Gus Frerotte, not the greatest quarterback in the league, obviously, but he can get it done. He's a guy who will take his drops. He'll take his 3, his 5, his 7. He'll read the field. He'll make the throw. Now, he is a pure pocket passer. We know where he's going to be. They're not going to be able to move him around. He's not going to struggle and stay alive the way Jeff does. That's probably the Achilles heel we've got to try to exploit. We've got to get in there, not allow him to step into his throw, not allow him to set up, not give him that time to make through his reads, because he is a quarterback who can be flustered. When you look at his stats, he's got 10 touchdowns, but he's got 11 interceptions. And the last 3 games, he's turned the ball over and led to points for the other team. So when we look at the keys to the game, this is an area we're going to try and exploit. Now, on the receiving side, they went out and got Bernard Berrien, speedster, has a little bit of the Braylon Edwards disease, the dropsies, but he can get behind you, right? We cannot allow them to get their running game established and go to the play action, because he's going to be able to beat pretty much anyone we have on the field and get behind, and then you got to pray for him to drop the ball, and none of us really want to do that. On the defensive side of the ball, like I mentioned before, Pat and Kevin Williams are just ridiculously stout. They're very large tackles, and I don't mean just fat or big, right? They're tall. They got the whole package. These guys will occupy that center of the line, and they'll get good push. And when they get good push, this is a lot like when we faced Seattle in the past or Jacksonville. Anyone with good tackles in the middle, if they get good push into the pocket and collapse that pocket from the center, it forces your quarterback to move laterally. Now, Jeff is perfectly capable of moving laterally, but Minnesota comes with Jared Allen on the other side of the ball. He sure as hell can't run into Jared Allen, because Jared Allen will just tear him apart. So we're going to have to make sure that our boys in the middle, Aaron Sears, Jeff Fain, and Davin Joseph, can take care of the Williams brothers. And I know they're not really, but the Williams guys, and take care of that defensive line. I don't know anything about their linebackers in secondary, to be honest. Some of the names look familiar. From a statistical perspective, they haven't been phenomenal. If you look at the stats, according to this week's stat sheet, their passing defense ranks 19th. Now, that can be inflated, though, because if a team can't run on you, they have to throw the ball. And so, if they're giving up a lot of yards, that's fine. But, when you look at the points allowed, this is the downside. They're at 20th in points allowed. So, teams are scoring on them, and based on what we see with them being 3rd against the run and 19th against the pass, they must be scoring them through the air and through special teams. So we rank 4th in points allowed, which is a good omen for us going into this game against the Vikings. A couple of discussion points. Obviously, we used to face the Vikings fairly regularly when we were in the NFC Central. Now that they've moved to the north and we've moved to the south, it hasn't been nearly the fun time that we had before. Now, the Vikings have not won in Tampa since 1997. We are a very strong home team right now. We have to work on becoming a much better road team if we have any prayer of going deep into the playoffs. The NFC South as a division is 16-1 at home. The entire South division plays very well at home. The interesting tidbit here is the only loss that the South has had came at the hands of the Minnesota Vikings. The New Orleans Saints lost to them in the Superdome. The Vikings are coming in on a streak. They've won their last 2, and they are 4 of their last 5, so they're coming in on a high. They're obviously trying to press and keep pace in the NFC North and keep their playoff hopes alive. They've invested a lot of money. They've got a good squad, and they want to try and make that run. I already mentioned about each of the last 3 games they've given up a turnover. When we looked at the keys to the game, tackling is going to be critical. Our guys are going to have to not do this stupid throw in a shoulder and hope it works. They're going to have to wrap up Adrian Peterson. First guy to the ball has got to wrap up, let the second and third guy come in and put a pop on him. We can't try and go for the knockout punch on the first time. Now, this is going to be one of those games where we're really hurt because Jermaine Phillips isn't available to us. Savvy and Tenard and Will Allen, if he comes in, these guys are going to have to, when we creep them up to the box, they're going to have to make those tackles and run support. I mentioned already our center 3, Sears, Fain, and Joseph, are going to have a ridiculously good game and allow us the ability to run the ball. We cannot become predictable and let Jared Allen pin his ears back and come after the quarterback, even a mobile quarterback like Jeff Garcia. As soon as Jeff gets that pressure, he gets happy feet. When he gets happy feet, his completion rate goes down, his effectiveness goes down, and our offense kind of falls apart. Last but not least, we have to force Gus to screw up. Right? We're going to try and force Gus to beat us by trying to stop AP. We're only giving up 100-yard rushing game all year. All of the pundits feel like we have to give up a second one, but I don't think that has to happen. Adrian Peterson has had some big games. He's also had some light games against strong defenses. We've got to get in there from our tackle spot, just like from their tackle spot is the key with the Williams. We've got to get our boy Hovan and Hay or Wilkerson and Sims, whoever happens to be in, they've got to get good upfield pressure and stop Gus Frerotte from being able to take that step forward and plant that foot and deliver the ball. If we can do that, he's going to throw off his back foot. His mechanics are going to be screwed up a little bit. He'll have a tendency to throw the ball into an area where we should be able to capitalize. When you look at the predictions for the game, I'm predicting the Bucs win, as I always do. I know I'm a homer. I can't pick against the team, but this is one I legitimately think we can win. I think we're going to win this one 27-13. I'm going to pick Antonio Bryant on the offensive side of the ball for us as the predictive offensive MVP, and Chris Hovan on the defensive side of the ball going against his former team. And also because I'm all geeked because he called into the show, was a hell of a guy, and I think he's going to be critical to this, making sure that Adrian Peterson doesn't have a lot of places to go, and also collapsing that pocket up on the front-hand side of the ball. On our offensive side of the ball, expect us to try and establish a running game. We've got some injuries coming in. We've got Graham with a dinged-up knee and Dunn with dinged-up neck. We did activate Cadillac Williams. I do not expect to see him play. We did release Michael Bennett, which I'm not happy about. On the receiving side, hopefully Joey Galloway and Jeff Garcia got some time in this bye week to get some timing together. But I do expect to see the 3 top receivers we have, which are Galloway, Bryant, and Clayton, start to step up big and our passing game to start to come together. That's what we need to do here on the back end of the season is start to get that offense production to increase. Our stats are good. We just need to be more consistent. So, again, this is Old School from What the Buck. That's whatthebuck.net. We do a show Mondays and Thursdays at 7 o'clock. Get over there, tune in. Hopefully you'll like what you see. And we will talk to you again on the next installment.